Let's do this. We have a replay from Sipa versus Ash. Tomb Kings versus Khorne. Khorne's taking some of the new units. The Skull Reapers and the Wrathmonger ROR. I don't see a lot of the Skull Reapers around, so I'm curious how they do. Someone brought up a good point to me that I was initially pretty down on the Skull Reapers. I think that's these guys' name. Their little pop-up isn't coming up for some reason. What is your name, friends? Yeah, the Skull Reapers. But then it was brought up to me that Tomb Kings and Grand Cathay would actually have a pretty hard time dislodging these guys, since they don't have good heavy cavalry to cycle charge them with. Because that is the easiest way to deal with the Skull Reapers, is just like heavy cav charge. The mass difference in them, relatively low armor, not amazing HP pools. They can take a lot of damage on charges, but if you're playing a more defensive structure, these guys could actually be pretty nasty. So, 2 Skull Reapers, a bunch of Marauders according to dual weapons. We have the Blood Wake Berserkers, Wrathmonger ROR, that has been getting a lot of attention in multiplayer recently. And then we have Valkia the Bloody, some Chaos Furies, a couple Minotaurs here and there, and that is it. On the other side, for the Tomb Kings, you have Grand Hierophant Katep, Sphinx of Usef, a front line of Skeleton Spearmen, and Tomb Guard with Halberds, all making a box formation around 2 Sporkle Stalkers, Ushabti Greatbow ROR, basic Ushabti, and Katep. I think I mentioned Katep. He's just running around, being a silly guy. Ushabti gonna fall back into their box now. As the Skull Reapers continue to advance. One of them is taking half its HP and damage from the Chosen of the Gods. That's not a terrible price on the way in. You know you're going to take a lot of range damage from the Tomb Kings on the advance. In comes the Marauders. An impressive 44 melee attack. Well, now they got fatigued, so now I feel silly. But they should get through the Tomb Kings front line pretty quickly overall, though I am for some reason constantly disappointed by Khorne Marauders, so something about their stats doesn't fully translate. The Bloodwake Berserkers won't have the same problem, though. These guys should cleave through the skeletons in record time and take very little damage while doing it. Chaos Furies charging to the back is also going to help that, as more Chaos Furies disrupt these Chosen of the Gods, and the Sporkle Stalkers just stop any extra damage from coming in. Now, something I am a little concerned about is the lack of anti-large we have here. We have 2 Minotaurs and Valkia for all of the anti-large of this entire build, and one of the Minotaurs is already dead, as they're saturated in spears, fighting Sporkle Stalkers, and the Sphinx Usef is going through them. So now we're down to 1 Minotaur. The Furies quickly start to die off. They're very expensive and very squishy little things. They're useful for what they are, but they won't be around in the late game. So Khorne is going to take a lot of balance of power hit this early on in the game, as we're losing our 2nd Chaos Fury, and the other 2 aren't looking so hot either. But the first line of skeletons has been broken for these Bloodwake Berserkers, and they're even prompting the Tomb King's Ushabti summon to show up on top of their heads, just for a little bit more mass as the Skullstorm goes through the Chaos Furies, getting rid of them, and all the Furies have now died, and Khorne falls on the balance of power like we expected. Marauders on the front line taking a lot of damage overall. We have 1 healthy left, but the other 2 aren't feeling so good, as we have a full health Skull Reaper that has just arrived on the back line. Bloodwake Berserkers are still full HP, and the other Skull Reaper very, very damaged. Chosen Gods make sure that those Minotaurs in the distance route for a 2nd time. Might be worth it to let them try and rally again, and then route them a 3rd time and just shatter them off. There they go, trying to come back. And they're not going to route for the 3rd time just yet. Syrian's Incantation of Vengeance is used on the Bloodwake Berserkers to try and peel them. They have taken so little damage for fighting this long that Katep realizes he needs to take them out at range somehow. One of the Sporkle Stalkers is going to fade away. The other one is actually still pretty healthy for how late in the game it is. The Chosen Gods have a lot of ammunition, decent amount of models, but they're super low on HP. So if they take any more damage, they will start dying off. As the healthy Minotaur tries to get to safety, half HP on that one, avoiding the crumbling Sporkle Stalker. And those Bloodwake Berserkers, man, they're not giving up. They got some buffs recently to make them better, make them viable. They've been crushing some matchups. I heard they're also pretty oppressive into Kislev. Minotaurs have rallied for the last time, charging the back to Sporkle Stalkers, but they will rout, and this time they will shatter, so they are gone forever. Ushabti Greatbows are just trying to fire at the Minotaurs. Looks like they're just trying to get rid of any threat to the Sphinx, and hoping the Sphinx can carry in the late game, which is usually a pretty fair assumption. It is very, very healthy. We still have a melee Ushabti that is not a summon, so it's very healthy, and it'll be around the late game. Sporkle Stalkers are going to shoot at Marauders for a bit. They don't really want to shoot at Valkia until the late game. She's teeny tiny, so it's hard to hit her. They probably should have been shooting at the Minotaurs charging at them, though. That is a bit of a mistake that they will pay for. These Sporkle Stalkers will die. They are anti-large armor piercing in melee. They just aren't that good at it, but, you know, they can get a little bit of a shot back in here. Not too big of a deal, but the Sphinx of Usef comes in with the steel chair, this turn would say. Good rear charge, probably going to rout off these Minotaurs soon, so he actually does save the Sporkle Stalkers briefly. Though I think Valkia should be able to finish this fight. Another Rusirian's trying to peel down the Wrathmongers who have fallen to half HP. Skull Reapers, the last Skull Reaper left, is also at half HP. Gotten 114 kills. Decent value back. Khorne's a little behind on the balance of power. But their only ranged unit remaining is a very close to dead Sporkle Stalker that Valkia is currently following around. Sporkle Stalker's going to try and shoot the Bloodwake Berserkers in the back, get a little bit more damage on them. Because I think they've realized the Sphinx can kill Valkia in the late game if needed. It's anti-large is wasted, but I mean, it's still the fucking Sphinx of Usef, and she's just Valkia. So they really need to kill this infantry support, and it is what they're going for. Sporkle Stalkers get some shots into these guys, get decent chunks of damage out, but more Marauders are in to just disrupt. The Sphinx is trying to hunt down Valkia. The Sphinx can cycle charge through infantry quite a lot, but he can't like sit and fight them very much. So if you get to a late game where you only have the Sphinx and you can't keep cycle charging, because this was played on our server, so it uses tournament rules where you can't just cycle charge or cheese out things. So if it's the last thing left, it has to get in a fight. And that would mean certain doom. Sporkle Stalkers get charged for the final time. They will crumble away to nothingness, but they shatter a Marauder on the way out. And now the Sphinx is stuck in that bad fight. And these Bloodwake Berserkers can even beat up Kugoth Plaguefather, so the Sphinx Usef does not stand much of a chance if he is forced to sit here and fight. With the last of the Tomb Guard, he is trying to hold out. Sporkle Stalker's crumbling away in the distance, but they tried to get one last quick shot off. It didn't quite work. Another Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance onto the Bloodwake Berserkers. Still a lot of mid-tier / elite infantry for Khorne left. Sphinx tries another cycle charge, gets really good collision damage in, but he's now surrounded as Kotep is chasing off the Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons. The Sphinx is using what precious time it has to cycle charge, because as long as Kotep is attacking these Marauders, there's no rule break or anything, so the Sphinx is on a timer before those guys either shatter or get to the edge of the map. He can keep cycle charging, but it's not like it's for free. You can see he does keep getting poked down whenever he charges back in. This Sphinx just is not built for killing little targets like that, but he is getting good damage out overall. Gets a good shot onto Valkia. What I'm concerned about is his HP pool and Valkia's are about the same. Now, he used to have a huge HP lead, but as all these infantry have just been slowly whittling him down, there's only so much he can do. He also can't charge Valkia because she's up in the sky, so he charges back at the Bloodwake Berserkers, knocks some of them around, gets some decent damage out. And he's been trying, man. He's been trying to carry this game, but Valkia flies in behind, gets some good poke. He's falling very low, and the balance of power is fraudulent. It thinks the Tomb Kings are super ahead because Kotep is full HP, but Kotep is not a duelist of any kind, so Valkia can kill him super easily. So that he needs the Sphinx to protect himself from Valkia. Bloodwake Berserkers down to 9 models. Valkia gets another shot on the Sphinx. The Sphinx turns around, gets a quick charge onto these guys. A little bit more damage, but Valky's about to get a rear attack on him. I think it's just too much for him to do. And like, I know Kotep's been off in the distance, and some people are probably like, why isn't Kotep helping? He literally can't do anything in this situation. Like, he's just not a melee combatant against any of these things. And as the Sphinx strikes a death pose, Tomb King's player just forfeits. Ash did not want to force Sipa to grind through Kotep as Kotep flailed helplessly against Valkia and a bunch of Skull Reapers. Because even if the Skull Reapers and the Bloodwake Berserkers weren't on the map anymore, let's say he just cast Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance until they went away, Valkia could still body him. Like, it's not even a contest there. So yeah, Skull Reapers did alright. Did pretty good. Furies did fine. Good distraction. The Minotaurs got focused down pretty heavily by the Tomb Kings, but the infantry came through for Khorne. The Tomb Kings, Kotep got good value. Tomb Guard with Halberds got wrecked. Sphinx Usef did okay. Sporkle Stalkers did alright. Chosen Gods did alright. GG's. Roar. Subscribe, yes.